Women often wear a mask of strength. They seem untouchable, independent, in complete control. But every man who's walked the path long enough knows that strength can be a shield, and beneath it there are soft, quiet places. Places only the right man ever reaches. This isn't about manipulation. It's about recognition. It's about seeing past the surface into what truly moves a woman. Mainstream advice tells you to focus on money, status, or looks. But real attraction lives somewhere else. It lives in the mind, in the spaces between words, in the subtle energies she can't name, but always feels. Because every woman, no matter how powerful, responds to a man who understands psychology more than performance. Most men never learn this. They chase what they can see. But the Stoic man, he observes what's hidden. He doesn't try to impress. He creates presence. And that presence, it awakens something deep in her. Not just desire, but craving. Not because he's flashy, but because he's still, certain, unmoved by her surface tests. When you learn how to carry yourself with this awareness, you stop trying to win her. Instead, she finds herself drawn in, not by force, but by gravity. This isn't a game, it's wisdom. And once you understand that, you won't need to chase. She'll feel it before you say a word. 1. The power of a man's touch. Women may appear strong, independent, and emotionally composed. But what most men never realize is this. There are quiet triggers beneath that armor, and one of the most powerful is touch. Not just any touch, not careless, not forceful, but touch with presence, with timing, with purpose. You see, attraction isn't only psychological, it's biological. A woman might resist a man's charm or words, but the moment he touches her in the right way, something primal awakens. In 2013, researchers published a study in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships. They discovered that even light physical contact can elevate oxytocin in a woman's brain, the hormone responsible for trust, emotional bonding, and desire. That's why a woman who's unsure about a man can suddenly feel differently after a subtle, intentional touch. It could be guiding her through a door, with your hand gently placed on her back, or a casual brush of her wrist, during a moment of laughter. She may not even process it consciously, but her body does. The reason? Touch bypasses logic. It speaks directly to the nervous system, creating warmth, tension, and closeness without a single word. But here's the key. It must be rare, subtle, controlled. The mistake most men make is being too obvious, too eager, too repetitive. Real power lies in restraint. A Stoic man doesn't seek attention. He doesn't touch to get something. He's grounded, present, calm. And because of that, when he does reach out, his touch carries weight. It lingers in her memory, not because it's aggressive, but because it's intentional. She starts to associate his presence with strength, safety, and masculine certainty. She may still claim to be in control, but something inside her is already shifting. She feels something she can't explain, and she wants to feel it again. That's not manipulation, it's awareness. It's masculine leadership, expressed in the simplest form. Touch, used not to overpower, but to connect. And the man who understands this power doesn't chase it, he becomes it. 2. The forbidden effect. If there's one law of attraction that holds true, it's this: people value what isn't easy to get, and women are no exception. The man who's always available, texting first, always waiting, always giving. He may seem sweet, but over time he fades into the background, predictable, ordinary, taken for granted. Now contrast that with the man who moves with purpose, who has his own path, his own timing, his own life. He's not ignoring her, he's simply not orbiting her, and that difference creates gravity. Psychologist Robert Cialdini calls it the scarcity principle. The less available something is, the more people want it. When applied to relationships, it's powerful, almost dangerous. If a woman senses you're too easy to reach, she stops reaching. But if she senses that you are slightly out of reach, not because you're playing games, but because you are focused on your purpose, she starts to lean in. Not because you pulled away, but because you stood still. A man who has options doesn't need to prove anything. He doesn't need to chase. He selects, and when he's willing to walk away, not to test her, but to stay true to himself, he becomes unforgettable. Not because he manipulated anything, but because he remained grounded. The Stoic man is not cold. He's clear. He's not unavailable. He's just not dependent. And that subtle distance, it's not rejection, it's value. And that's what makes a woman pay attention. 3. Why drama keeps her hooked. Most men believe women only want peace and stability. And yes, they do, when they feel safe. But safety without contrast, it becomes predictable. And predictability is where attraction fades. The truth is this: women are emotional beings. They don't fall in love with a routine. They fall into connection through feeling, through highs and lows, tension and release. A relationship that's too calm, too steady, too easy, often turns into background noise. She may not leave, but she starts drifting, mentally and emotionally. Here's where emotional contrast comes in. When a man knows how to lead with depth, he doesn't cause drama. He creates contrast, not confusion, but emotional variety. Psychologists have shown that dopamine spikes when emotions rise and fall. It's what makes stories compelling, music powerful, and yes, relationships magnetic. A man who makes her laugh in one moment and challenges her beliefs in the next, keeps her mind engaged and her heart awake. He's not playing games. He's not disappearing to manipulate, but he also doesn't make himself too easy to read. She doesn't know exactly what he'll say, but she knows he's grounded. That's the paradox she's drawn to. As author Robert Greene once said, presence and absence must be balanced. Too much of you, and she loses interest. Too little, and she loses faith. But the man who understands this rhythm, who brings contrast, not chaos, he keeps her drawn in, not by being someone else, but by being fully himself. Because attraction isn't built through logic, it's built through emotion, and emotion lives in movement. 4. How a man's tone controls her mind. Her ears are sharper than you think, not just in hearing words, but in sensing the energy behind them. A man's voice is more than sound. It's presence, it's certainty, it's leadership, without raising a finger. When a man speaks with depth and control, she doesn't just listen. She feels it. Something beneath the surface awakens, not because she analyzes it, but because her nervous system responds. It's not just about pitch. A study from the University of Aberdeen found that women consistently rated lower-pitched male voices as more attractive because they subconsciously associated deep tones with confidence, authority, and strong genetics. But it's not only what she hears, it's how it's said. Speak too fast and you sound uncertain. Speak too slow and you seem unsure. But speak with calm rhythm, and you hold attention without asking for it. Think of the man in the film who never rushes. He speaks slowly, pauses with intention, and lets each word land with weight. It's not just his voice, it's the space between his words. That creates tension, and tension is where attraction lives. Because here's what most men overlook. It's not about sounding smooth. It's about knowing when to be silent. That moment before you respond, when she waits. That's what draws her in. The Stoic man doesn't speak to impress. He speaks with clarity. He's not loud. He's composed. And that composure speaks louder than volume ever could. When a man learns to speak with presence, control, and pause, he's not just heard, he's remembered. 5. The hidden effect of jealousy. Desire isn't just about chemistry, it's about perception. And whether men admit it or not, a woman's desire is shaped by what she sees others want. She may like you, but the moment she notices that other women notice you, something shifts. It's not conscious, it's instinct. Psychologist Robert Cialdini calls this the principle of social proof. We tend to value what others value, and in relationships, this rule is quietly powerful. Women are drawn to high-value men, and a high-value man isn't defined by words. He's defined by the way others respond to him. Celebrities, athletes, leaders, they don't chase approval, they move with purpose. And because of that, people gravitate toward them, especially women. This doesn't mean you need fame. It means you need substance. A man who is grounded in his mission, lives with direction, and commands quiet respect, naturally becomes magnetic. But here's what many men misunderstand. When you focus all your attention on one woman, thinking it shows loyalty, you may be signaling you have no other options. And like it or not, no options often equals no value. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding reality. If you appear to be the only one pursuing her, she assumes she has the power. But when she senses you could walk away, not as a threat, but as a man who respects himself, her perception changes. She doesn't just want a good man. She wants a man other women quietly admire. Not the one who brags, not the one who begs, but the one who doesn't need to prove anything. That's the man she remembers. 6. The sweet spot of tension. Most men move too fast. They feel a spark and they rush to lock it down. They confess too early. Push for commitment before connection has depth. And just like that, they remove the mystery. And when the mystery dies, so does desire. Attraction isn't built in certainty. It's built in tension, in the pause, in the not yet. Think about the most captivating movies. It's not the ending that moves you. It's the build-up, the wait, the wondering. Women are wired the same way. They don't want everything handed to them too soon. They want space to wonder, to question, to feel like they're discovering you. But when a man moves too quickly, he robs her of that experience. It feels forced, predictable, flat. The Stoic man understands the rhythm of connection. He's not cold, he's not distant, but he doesn't rush. He lets silence speak. He lets timing breathe. And in doing so, he creates something most men never do: anticipation. When a woman can't quite figure you out, when she feels like she's slowly uncovering who you are, her mind stays engaged, her heart stays open. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about honoring the pace of something real, because what's earned is valued, and what takes time to reveal often lasts longer than what's given away too soon. 7. The fantasy effect. Attraction isn't built on appearances alone. It's built in the mental space you occupy when you're no longer in the room. It's not always what you say. It's what you leave unsaid. That echoes the longest. A woman doesn't just fall for a man. She falls for how he makes her feel in his absence. The tone of his presence, the weight of his silence, the story he lets her imagine. Think about why women obsess over men they barely know. Celebrities, leaders. It's not because of status alone. It's because of the illusion, the aura of mystery. The mind fills in the blanks with emotion. And here's the truth: a grounded, everyday man can create the same effect. Not by faking anything, but by choosing not to reveal everything all at once. Most men explain too much. They answer every question directly. They speak just to fill silence. But mystery isn't manipulation, it's restraint. When you allow her space to wonder, when you leave a little unsaid, You're giving her imagination something to hold on to. She begins to feel, not just think. And feeling is where attachment lives. This doesn't mean being cold. It means being centered enough not to overshare, not to rush to define every thought, not to turn mystery into monologue. Because here's what makes you unforgettable. Not what you say in the moment, but what she replays in her mind, long after you're gone. The Stoic man isn't hard to read, because he's hiding something. He's hard to read, because his depth can't be summarized in a sentence. And that is exactly what makes her stay curious. 8. The authority effect. She may say she wants a partner, an equal, and she does. But what draws her in, deep down, is a man who leads, without asking permission to exist. Leadership doesn't mean control. It means direction, and direction is magnetic. When a man moves with purpose, makes decisions with clarity, and isn't afraid to take the first step, he awakens something ancient in her. It's not because she's weak, it's because women are wired to trust strength. Not forceful strength, but the kind that doesn't flinch under pressure. This is why she'll test you. Not to cause drama, but to see if you bend when things get uncertain. And the moment you start needing her approval, over-explaining, second-guessing, or asking her to decide everything, the attraction quietly begins to fade. A Stoic man doesn't ask, "What do you want me to do?" every 5 minutes. He says, "This is what I'm doing. You're welcome to join." That energy dash, quiet, steady, unmoved, is what she instinctively respects. Because deep attraction isn't built through compliance. It's built through composure. When you lead from stillness, not ego, she feels it. She follows, not because she must, but because she trusts that you know where you're going. 9. The emotional drug. She says she wants peace, a stable, drama-free relationship, and she means it. But stability alone doesn't stir the soul. If a man doesn't awaken something emotional, something unexpected, she drifts. Women don't fall in love through logic. They fall for how a man makes them feel, especially when he's not trying too hard. It's not about chaos. It's about emotional rhythm. Moments of spark, then stillness, warmth, then pause. Like a melody with contrast. It's the change that holds her. When a man is too predictable, too eager, she might feel safe, but not stirred. The Stoic man understands this. He's not here to impress. He's here to connect. He creates space for emotion, not by controlling hers, but by mastering his own. A well-timed silence, a subtle challenge, a playful glance that's not explained. These are the things she remembers, because her heart doesn't follow comfort. It follows feeling. She doesn't crave a man who creates drama. She craves a man who makes her feel alive. And when you can stir that sense of aliveness without ever losing your own center, You don't just attract her, you become unforgettable. 10. The submissive trigger. She's independent, smart, capable, but even the strongest woman wants to feel safe enough to soften, not controlled, not possessed, but deeply grounded, in the presence of a man who doesn't flinch under pressure. That kind of man doesn't demand submission, he simply makes it feel natural. It's not about dominance, it's about emotional leadership. She wants to lean into his strength, not because he asks her to, but because she trusts where he's going. And trust is born from presence, from tone, from posture, from boundaries that don't need defending. When a man knows who he is, he doesn't need to raise his voice. His silence speaks louder. His direction is clear. And because he doesn't move from fear, she doesn't feel the need to protect herself. That's when she lets go. She stops trying to lead. She lets herself receive. Not because she's weak, but because she finally feels held. Most men try to impress. The Stoic man grounds himself in stillness. He leads by example. He holds his frame, and she feels it. The truth is, she doesn't even know why she's drawn to him. She just knows she is. That's the power of masculine calm. Not loud, not forceful, just unshakable. If this message resonates with you, hit the like button, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and watch the next video that's now on your screen. We go deeper into the unseen dynamics between men and women. I'll see you there. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and always stay ahead.